The title of this webinar is Financial Literacy and the Workforce Development System, Resources and Implementation Strategies. I'm so glad you're able to join us today, and before we get going, let me turn it over to Brittany for some of the logistical issues to help you enjoy listening to this webinar and as well participating if you have questions. Brittany?
Good afternoon, everyone. The audio for today's webinar is being broadcast through your computer. Please make sure your speakers are turned on or your headphones are plugged in. You can control the audio broadcast via the audio broadcast panel. And if you accidentally close this panel, you can reopen by going to the Communicate menu at the top of the screen and choosing Join Audio Broadcast. If you do not have sound capabilities on your computer, or if you prefer to listen by phone, please dial 1-415-655-0001 or our toll-free number 855-749-4750 and enter the meeting code 668-921-359. Please note that you do not need to enter an attendee ID to access sound on this webinar. Real-time captioning is being provided during this webinar. Captions can be found in the Media Viewer panel, which appears in the lower right corner of the webinar platform. If you would like to make the Media Viewer panel larger, you can minimize other panels like chat, Q&A, and/or participants. For question and answers, please use the question and answer box to submit any questions you have during the webinar, and we will direct the questions accordingly during the Q&A portion. If you are listening by phone only and not logged into the webinar, you may also ask questions by emailing them to me at btaylor@ndi-inc.org. Please note that this webinar is being recorded. All materials will be placed on the Lead Center website at the link below, and I will also be copying this into the chat box. If you do experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, please use the chat box to send me a message, or you can also email me, and I've listed my email again. And with that, I will turn it back over to Michael Morris for a few additional comments.
Thank you, Brittany. Before we introduce our speakers and provide you a review of the agenda and some of what we will be accomplishing today, let me just give you a brief background related to the LEAD Center. The National Center on Leadership for the Employment and Economic Advancement of People with Disabilities, or LEAD, is a collaborative of disability, workforce, and economic empowerment organizations led by National Disability Institute with funding from the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Disability Employment Policy. We are in our 4th year of funding. Many of you have joined with us on many of the webinars in the past, where we appreciate you joining with us, taking the time today, but also if you have questions, don't hesitate to put your questions or comments in the chat box. The LEAD Center was established, as I said, 4 years ago to advance sustainable individual and systems level change that results in improved, competitive, integrated employment and economic self-sufficiency outcomes for individuals across the spectrum of disability. The agenda today offers a unique opportunity to not only learn more about the topic of financial capability, but really connecting financial literacy and financial capability with the workforce development system. An opportunity to learn about some of the new parts of the WIOA, Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, and really with some of the collaborators who are joining us today at a federal and at a local level to really get a sense of not just understanding more about the topic, but also thinking about how you can commit to new actions and new strategies that advance not only employment, but economic self-sufficiency for individuals across the full spectrum of disabilities. The webinar today will involve first sharing with you a context. As I mentioned just a few minutes ago, this is Financial Capability Month. A presidential proclamation was issued on March 31st, and we'll share some information about that. But also a context today are these new elements of the workforce development system within the WIOA that focus on financial literacy. We want you to learn more about those new elements and think about what that means for you, whether you're a policymaker, a workforce development professional, a member of the disability community, an employment service provider, or other related stakeholders. How does all of these pieces come together? We're going to share with you some really outstanding resources available from some of our colleagues, both within Department of Labor and also at the FDIC. And you're also going to hear about really an extraordinary program of inclusive financial capability development from the city of Louisville, Kentucky. After learning about some of these resources, we are going to have an opportunity for some conversation among the panelists, which really will take us deeper, and we will interject some of the questions which you are typing in the chat box. What we hope the webinar outcomes will be today are first to learn about the importance of financial literacy and financial capability for people with and without disabilities. Second is to increase awareness of the new requirements of WIOA to integrate financial literacy as part of youth and adult services. Third, we hope that you will leave today with a great deal of more knowledge and awareness of wonderful resources that are available to support your financial literacy activities. And we hope that what you hear today will increase understanding of implementation strategies that build public and private sector engagement that really offers job seekers, youth and adults with and without disabilities greater opportunity to gain knowledge and skills regarding financial literacy and how that ultimately will lead to employment, retention of employment, and a topic that clearly carries through in terms of career pathways. Let me share with you today's speakers. Christopher Button is Supervisor, Workforce Systems Policy, Office of Disability Employment Policy, U.S. Department of Labor. She is joined on the panel by Mark Humphreys, Benefits Advisor from the Employee Benefits Security Administration, or EBSA, U.S. Department of Labor. Mark is joined on the panel by Jennifer Kemp, Unit Chief, Youth Policy and Performance from the Employment and Training Administration, ETA, within the U.S. Department of Labor. And joining Jennifer on the panel will be Luke Reynolds, Chief Outreach and Program Development at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC. And then finally, as the last member of the panel is joining us, Tina Lentz, who is the Executive Administrator, Advocacy and Empowerment Division from Louisville Metro Community Services, and a part of the wonderful work being done and being led by the Mayor's Office in Louisville. So before we turn to our panel, let's provide some context for the conversation today. As I mentioned, the presidential proclamation, which was issued at the end of the month of March. This proclamation is a declaration of National Financial Capability Month. All across the country, events have been happening all month long, and as well in many cities during this week, which some cities have labeled Money Smart Week, and you'll hear more about Money Smart later on this webinar. But what does all of this mean? What President Obama states in this presidential proclamation is that when every American has the tools they need to get ahead and contribute to our country's success, we are all better off. The proclamation also states that ensuring people have the resources to make informed decisions about their finances is critical. President Obama goes further to state, in declaring the month of April Financial Capability Month, is that during this month we will recommit to equipping individuals with the knowledge and protections necessary to secure a stable financial future for themselves and their families. And this month, let us encourage informed financial decisions and promote resources that help the American people make them. So this is a wonderful framework for the purposes of this webinar. Now, over the course of the webinar, we will at times use the phrase financial literacy, and some of us will talk about financial capability. I thought it might be helpful to try to at least distinguish for our audience, what do we mean by these terms? What is financial literacy? It is the ability to use knowledge and skills to manage financial resources effectively for a lifetime of financial well-being. What is financial capability? Financial capability really is about financial behavior change through the use of appropriate products and services that promote economic stability and long-term financial health. If financial literacy is what an individual knows, then think about financial capability as what an individual does. I think we all know, whether you're in the audience or members of the panel we've assembled today, I don't think we tend to go up to a friend or a colleague or a coworker and say, well, tell me about how financial literate you are, or how financially capable are you. We don't use terms like that. But overall, when you put this in plain language, it's about helping job seekers with and without disabilities, as is now a part of the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, to be more aware, more knowledgeable about money management, about the facets of money management we're going to next talk about, understanding credit and debt, making informed financial decisions. In this new law, there are new opportunities for community partners working with the workforce development system to participate in financial literacy activities that better the knowledge and skill for job seekers. In the new law, it states that under youth programs, financial literacy education is one of 15 elements that youth programs shall provide to support attainment of a secondary school diploma, entry into post-secondary education, and career readiness. It goes further and also includes this important mandate related to financial literacy as we take on the new definition of adult career services. And here again, financial literacy education is one of 11 specific services that should be provided to job seekers if determined to be appropriate in order for an individual to obtain or retain employment. Well, the definition that appears in WIOA is a multi-part definition. And we should all look at these multiple parts because it really presents the comprehensive picture of what are we talking about when we talk about building an individual's financial literacy. It's supporting the ability to create household budgets. It's about initiating savings plans. It's about making informed financial decisions about education, retirement, home ownership, wealth building, and other savings goals. It's also about managing spending, credit, and debt. It's about understanding, evaluating, and comparing financial products and services. And it even goes further to talk about, within this definition, is helping a job seeker determine the accuracy of credit reports and how to correct inaccuracies. So this is a pretty sweeping definition, but it's a clear recognition about the relationship of financial literacy to the ultimate goals of WIOA, which is about achieving employment outcomes. But the two go hand in hand, and this really is the focus of the webinar today. FDIC, in survey results from their 2013 survey of households headed by working age adults with or without disabilities, we were able to extract from that data to learn more about what about households headed by a working age adult with a disability. And what we learned is that that individual is more likely to be single and not married, more likely to be a person who is not white, does not have a college degree, may be unemployed or not currently in the labor force, earns less than $30,000 annually, is more likely to be unbanked or underbanked than their non-disabled peers, more likely to rely on alternative financial services, more likely not to have a checking and savings account, and less likely to be using mobile banking. Well, in that snapshot, certainly it gives us a sense of how important financial literacy could be for youth and adults with disabilities to change what that picture looks like in the future. So I just offer you that as a context for the discussion and conversation today. I want to turn first, as the first member of the panel we're going to hear from is Mark Humphreys, the Benefits Advisor with the Employee Benefits Security Administration at the U.S. Department of Labor. Many of us may know it as EBSA, EBSA, and Mark's going to share with us some of the critical resources that EBSA makes available and exactly what does EBSA do that might help us think about these terms of financial literacy and building financial capability for adults really with and without disability. Let me turn it over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome to Financial Capability for the Future, Resources for Planning for Retirement. Financial capability isn't just about managing your finances today, it's also about planning for tomorrow. Next slide. I'm Mark Humphreys from the United States Department of Labor's Employee Benefits Security Administration, or EBSA, EBSA. EBSA administers and enforces the federal law called ERISA, the Employee Retirement Income Securities Act, which protects retirement and health benefit plans sponsored by private sector employers. Among the protections provided by ERISA is the right to plan information, a grievance and appeal process, and standards of conduct for those who manage a benefit plan and its assets. An important part of EBSA's responsibilities is helping workers and employers with questions on the law and how it applies to their benefit plans. We have benefits advisors across the country who answer inquiries and informally resolve disputes. Another way EBSA assists workers and employers is through education and outreach. We provide consumer information and tools on a number of topics, including saving for retirement. Workplace retirement and health benefits play a critical role in your future financial well-being. Today, I will highlight some of the resources we offer to help you achieve a financially secure future. Next slide. Do you realize that the most expensive purchase you will buy is your retirement? You are paying today for the cost of your retirement tomorrow. The cost of those future years is becoming more expensive for most Americans. People are living longer after they retire, and they are more active in retirement. You may have to pay more of the cost of your retirement because fewer companies provide traditional pensions. Many retirement plans today, such as the popular 401k, are paid for primarily by the employee, not the employer. Social Security provides only a minimal foundation of protection in retirement. A comfortable retirement usually requires Social Security, employer-based retirement plan benefits, personal savings, and investments. Many of us live paycheck to paycheck. You may have one more pressing financial needs and goals. Perhaps you've waited until close to retirement before starting to save, but you can still take steps towards a better, more secure future. We encourage workers to start saving early, but it's never too late to start. Next slide. Your workplace retirement plan is a great place to start because for many, it is the easiest way to save. You can decide how much to contribute from each paycheck, and once you contribute, your employer may add their own money to your 401k account, the employer match. We encourage workers to try to maximize the employer match if they can, since it's free money, a great return on savings before they even get started. Another great way to start is to learn more about saving for retirement. EBSA has resources that focus on key points in a worker's career, at the point of their first job, mid-career as life changes with family and job, and then as they near retirement. Next slide. Starting a new job is for many the start of their financial life. There are a lot of financial issues to consider, decisions to make, and many demands on new income. Student loans are an issue faced by many, as well as the need for housing, a car, and things you would like to do, such as a vacation. For new job entrants, our focus is on getting a good financial start. This includes the basics of financial planning and budgeting for short-term and long-term goals like retirement. Mid-career workers have different challenges. Although they may be making more money, they also may have new financial demands like a family or home. Our program encourages mid-career workers that are not saving to start. For those who are saving, the key is to keep going, track their progress, and make changes if needed. We also encourage workers to be familiar with their plan and know their protections under the law. This includes reviewing investments at least once a year to see if they should make a change, and becoming familiar with the plan's investment options and fees so that they can make more informed decisions. Our program for workers nearing retirement focuses on those 10 to 15 years from retirement. Although retirement is getting close, they still have time to make changes. Using our resources, workers can chart their current savings and expenses, anticipate what they will have at retirement, and how that money will be spent over time. For workers whose calculations show a savings gap, there is information on ways to close the gap before retirement. For each of these strategies, for each of these stages, we've got information to help, including publications and web tools such as calculators and videos, as well as free in-person workshops and webcasts. Next slide. For each of these stages, we have information to help, including publications, some of the interactive web tools such as this budget worksheet. We also have short videos including a financial planning series including setting goals, budgeting, determining a target retirement savings rate, and managing debt. Many of the publications and the videos are available in Spanish. As noted earlier, we also hold outreach events. We conduct in-person workshops as well as webcasts to present information, help walk people through the worksheets, and answer questions. You can check for upcoming events on our website, www.dol.gov/EBSA, or contact us if you're interested in having us make a presentation. Contact information will be provided at the end of my presentation. Next slide. Planning for your financial future includes planning for health benefits coverage. The health care coverage that many workers get through employment-based plans is important not only for their physical health, but also their financial health. There are many life and work events that can impact this health coverage. The protections under the federal health benefit laws include information about the plan, key time frames for decisions, and filing a claim for benefits. They include well-known laws like ERISA, the Affordable Care Act, COBRA, and HIPAA. It is important to know your rights and responsibilities under the federal benefits laws ahead of time so you can make timely, informed decisions when needed. We have many healthcare benefit publications available for workers. We also provide workshops and videos to help workers of all ages understand their rights under the law so they can make the most of their health coverage. Next slide. All of the resources mentioned today can be found on the toolkit for this webcast as well as EBSA's website at dol.gov/EBSA. On our website, you will also find links to information on other topics for consumers and for employers. These include information on retirement and health plan protections under the law, help for workers who have lost their jobs, materials for employers on the benefits of offering a retirement plan to their workers, and information to educate employers and plan officials about their responsibilities under the law. Our resources are available in print and online, and many are available in Spanish. For hard copies of our publication, contact EBSA at askebsa.dol.gov or call toll-free 1-866-444-3272. EBSA also has benefit advisors across the country who can assist workers and their families with questions and complaints. To reach a benefit advisor, you can submit a question or complaint online at askebsa.dol.gov or call our toll-free number at 866-444-3272. And that concludes my portion. Thank you.
And now,
thank you, Mark.
Sorry, Michael, I was jumping right in.
You were jumping right in, Jennifer. I wanted to introduce you first, so just hold on for a second.
I will.
I just wanted to thank Mark because, you know, and we're going to hear from the FDIC, and there are other resources available through Treasury and other parts of the federal government. But I think EBSA is just such a hidden treasure trove of material, calculators, resources, and as Mark shared, the opportunity to talk directly with members of their staff on a one-to-one basis. So I hope that particularly those of us in the disability community side, visit that website. I think you're going to be fascinated and really understand for the first time, here's another part of the Department of Labor that really can be helpful to us. So let's turn next to Jennifer Kemp, Unit Chief, Youth Policy and Performance, Division of Youth Services in the Office of Workforce Investment at ETA, Employment and Training Administration, U.S. Department of Labor. And Jennifer is going to take us deeper into where the integration is already taking place in terms of really building people's awareness and understanding around financial literacy and financial capability within the work with youth in the workforce development system. So Jennifer, take it away.
Okay, great. Thank you, and it's great to be with you all today. And I was actually thinking earlier while my EBSA almost sibling was talking that within the Department of Labor, I think of the different agencies as kind of siblings, and we don't all get together very often. So it's actually nice that we have 3 siblings together in the same room talking with you all. I want to take a moment and just ask you guys to take a trip down your memory lane and think of that first allowance, that first paycheck you got. How excited you were probably to get it and what you did with it. Oftentimes what you do with the money you get is reflected on what your own values are at that age and what your experiences are. And I personally remember getting a dime and buying a candy bar to give you a sense of how old I'm getting. But I think that part of what's so exciting to me about the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act and some of the changes around the Youth Formula Program is that We know a lot of sites were already discussing financial literacy or financial capability with the youth they were working with, but now it's more official, and we are excited to be able to really give them some tools. So on your screen, you'll see some of the important changes that have occurred under WIOA, and I think, you know, across the youth and the adult formula program, one of the big changes is really codifying the role that financial literacy can play within the workforce system. Within the state portion of what the states are allowed to do with the WIOA state reserve money, there's some very great detail about what can happen in financial literacy, and if you look at the legislation, it's actually one of the more detailed sections of the law. So that's exciting. And actually, I did a search of the law before I came up here and discovered that financial literacy is discussed in 7 different places within the law, which is significant and is discussed not only on the adult side and the youth side, but also the Job Corps section. And I highlight that because what we're finding and what we probably already suspected if we were on this call is that there is a connection between getting your first paycheck and getting financial education at the same time. So as you look at this slide, you'll see that there is a greater increase in the WIOA program focusing on out-of-school youth, and these are youth who are not connected to work or education, are between the ages of 16 and 24. And you'll also see that one of the new requirements of WIOA is that 20% of the funds need to be spent on work experience. To give you a sense of what this means, we typically in a typical year serve about 220,000 young people across the country in the WIOA program. And when a young person enters into the program, they sit down and, like so many programs we do, they sort of get an individualized service strategy where they assess what they need to move forward. Financial literacy must be available in every location, in every Workforce Development Board area. Every youth does not have to choose financial literacy, but we're really hoping that through the work of you all and our work here at the federal level, that a lot of folks will receive financial literacy. So I really want to emphasize that it needs to be available everywhere. It's up to the youth if they choose to do it or not. And of course, we're hoping they'll choose it because we know that will make a much bigger impact. On the next slide, you'll see it's sort of a framework about why we think integration is important, and I alluded to this earlier. Some preliminary data that we've looked at with the help of our friends and colleagues at FDIC, Luke, who you'll hear from in a moment, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and other Department of Treasury, other partners that we're doing this work with, we have learned that workforce combined with financial counseling results in a higher average monthly income, higher job placement rates, and higher average salary a year later. And what we're going to be learning as we continue to roll out WIOA is we actually collect a lot of data. Those of you who are involved in receiving the formula funds know we collect a lot of data, and we will be able to tell years out how this plays out for the youth population, because we will be knowing if they're employed, if they receive financial literacy, and then what their job rates look like, as well as their salaries. So long term, this is a great opportunity for us, I think, to really validate what we all suspect we'll see as a trend. But in limited states, this is what we're seeing. So I don't want to take too much of your all's time, but I will say in terms of resources that we have, you may know about servicelocator.org, and I don't have my colleague's beautiful, like, announcing voice, but that's servicelocator.org. If you go there, you will be able to enter your zip code, and you will see where the nearest workforce board is located. One thing that will be helpful for you to know is if you click on the tool Find Local Help, you will find not only your local workforce board or American Jobs Center, but you will also be able to find out if they offer you information about financial aid or training at that location. So there's a long click down of things that will help for it. And I think we alluded to this earlier, while retirement is a big investment in our future, education is a big investment in our future as well. So so I want everyone to know that the job centers can help you in terms of locating financial aid, and in some cases even paying for some courses. And also on workforcegps.org, which is the Employment and Training Administration's new TA portal, you will be able to also see some archived videos that we've done around financial literacy, as well as some short podcasts that talk about the best ways to deliver financial literacy to youth who are engaged in their first work experience. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back to you, Michael.
Thank you, Jennifer. And those statistics are really, really a powerful argument and rationale for this integration, which certainly was envisioned by Congress with, as you said, 7 different places in WIOA where there is mention of financial literacy. There is no question this isn't some supplementary topic. It's going to help produce workers who are more stable after they're on the job. There's research which shows financial stress leads to absenteeism and poor productivity. So we know, and what's going to be exciting as WIOA rolls out at a local community level beginning this summer, I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about the way different workforce development boards and the American Job Centers are working with community partners and bringing financial education, counseling, and coaching into the workforce development system. So let me turn next to Luke Reynolds, who is Chief of Outreach and Program Development, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or much more better known, I think, Luke, as FDIC. And Luke also can share with us an extraordinary history of rich support for helping all Americans be more financially literate and financially capable. So let me turn to you, Luke.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Michael. My goal today is to overview the FDIC's Money Smart product family so that you can evaluate how it may be a resource for your programs. But first, just to make sure we are all on the same page, the FDIC preserves and promotes public confidence in the financial system by ensuring your deposits in FDIC-insured financial institutions for at least $250,000. We also have certain responsibilities to make sure that banks operate in a safe and sound manner and that consumers' rights are protected. While deposit insurance is a key factor in sustaining public confidence, consumer trust in the financial system is just as important. And one of the most important ways for consumer confidence to grow is to have more consumers benefiting from a banking relationship. This means access to a safe, secure, and affordable banking service. Michael talked a little bit about this. I'm just going to quickly recap. Our most recent survey results from our population survey conducted in collaboration with the U.S. Census Bureau show that substantial portions of the population remain unbanked or underbanked. Unbanked and underbanked rates remain particularly high among certain demographic groups. I just want to point out that young people are disproportionately unbanked, and households headed by a working-age individual with a disability, once again, are significantly more likely to be unbanked or underbanked. And I'm just running through this quickly since you can find more information on economicinclusion.gov. Well-designed economic inclusion strategies enhance trust and confidence in the banking system because consumers gain value from the products and services they use. By equipping consumers with the knowledge to seek and use products from banks, financial institutions, financial education can help economic inclusion be successful and sustainable. This year, we're celebrating our 15-year anniversary of the FDIC's Money Smart program. Money Smart's been around for over 15 years. Its primary goal is to help low and moderate income individuals outside the financial mainstream enhance their financial skills and create positive banking relationships. We provide curricula that are free of charge in several formats to teach consumers. So, for instance, in a workshop setting or a one-to-one setting, we have versions for consumers to learn on their own, perhaps using podcast or using our CBI or using our Braille version. And we have versions for different age groups, starting from pre-K all the way up to older adults. Our instructor-led curriculums are all structured similarly. They're fully scripted, enabling someone without a lot of financial background to easily pick up and begin teaching the basics of money management. I should also note that we have prepared a crosswalk that shows what modules within Money Smart we think hit some of the key objectives in WIOA. So this crosswalk, we've just developed it. We're curious to get feedback on it. So anyone who wants to use this to try to identify what Money Smart lessons may be useful for their workplace programs, just send us an email. We're happy to share it. Just a note on our self-paced resources. Our self-paced resources, our computer-based instruction version has a track for adults and young adults, and successful completion of each module will enable a person to earn a certificate of completion to help validate that they completed the Money Smart materials. We have a resource library of ideas and success stories on how Money Smart has been used. This is on our website. These generally come from success stories in Money Smart News. Money Smart News is our quarterly publication for financial educators that gives tips and updates that may be of relevance, such as a new consumer news article that can be used in a financial education program. Just as a couple of success stories you can find on our website, you can find some strategies organizations used when using Money Smart to teach people with visual impairments. You can learn a success story about one bank's work to use Money Smart through its summer employment program. We encourage submissions to Money Smart News. The Money Smart Alliance is our way of recognizing organizations that use Money Smart. We're going to be rolling out some updates to the Money Smart Alliance in a couple months. Our role is to provide the curriculum free of charge, provide technical assistance on using it. We have regional community affairs staff who work to promote economic inclusion. They can be a resource for you and your organization as you work to strengthen your connection to financial institutions to promote economic inclusion. I'm just putting up on the screen some promising elements from the GAO on the delivery of financial education. I don't have time to talk about those. You'll find those in my slides. You can read more on the GAO website. And finally, I want to put up the link so you can download or learn more or order free Money Smart materials from FDIC. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Luke, and I'm really excited about one thing that you mentioned, which is this crosswalk of looking at the Money Smart modules and comparing where they exactly align with some of the requirements in the new requirements on financial literacy and WIOA. So that's a terrific resource, and I hope people will take you up on your offer to learn more about that and also comment on how they might use it. That's one thing I wanted to mention. The other is the regional community affairs staff all across the country that are part of the FDIC. We have used multiple times in different parts of the country in a train-the-trainer approach, teaching staff in disability nonprofit organizations how to teach Money Smart and how to really utilize this resource that really can build the capacity of nonprofit organizations on this important topic. So again, I know you can find that full list of Regional Community Affairs lead staff on your website, and again, a fantastic resource, so thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Oh, thanks, Luke. Let me go next to Tina Lentz. So we're going to leave the federal level, and we're going to come down to local and community level. As I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, through the LEAD Center, with the support of funding from ODEP, we have been working with Tina Lentz, the Mayor's Office in Louisville, and Louisville Metro Community Services. And they have really put together multiple strategies that I'm going to ask now for Tina to share with you, because I believe these strategies are scalable, they're sustainable, and I think also helps bring together multiple community resources that can really empower individuals with disabilities to not only be focused on their employment goal, but the relationship to increasing their financial capability. So Tina, let me turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to the National Disability Institute for inviting me to participate in this webinar and for the opportunity to talk about the work in Louisville, Kentucky. You can move to the next slide. First, I want to talk a little bit about why financial capability is important to our mayor. For us, it's a part of the holistic journey to build a viable community, one that impacts our residents and their household stability, and therefore the neighborhoods where they live, making better use of community and government resources. We know that the unbanked lack access to asset building opportunities. We all know that credit impacts employment, housing choices, and access to asset building opportunities. We know that a financially unstable workforce impacts productivity, job security, and health. And we know that a large number of families have little or no savings to help cover unexpected expenses. A financially capable community affects our government's ability to reach goals. When we can provide a gateway to safe and affordable financial products and services, we move from a cash economy to one that can be tracked, and that increases employment opportunities by attracting the attention of companies looking to expand in different markets. This, in turn, increases our tax base, allowing us to better meet the needs of our community. We place emphasis on being interconnected and strive for an integrated system that considers the needs of all of our residents. Across Metro government, departments have worked together to raise awareness around financial empowerment, providing access to services and information for our families, our youth, and our employees. This work involves our one-stop career centers, parks and recreation, community services, economic development, and human resources departments. Also key to this work is our strong network of community partners, and everyone has a role in the effort. Many of us are serving the same families and offer many opportunities to deliver a consistent message and raise awareness. By working together, we can produce better family outcomes and help them build a better legacy for their children. Next slide. For Louisville Metro, this holistic journey started with our Bank on Louisville initiative. It has been the foundation to many financial capability efforts, the connection point to an array of actions that goes beyond local impact. In 2009, the National League of Cities invited Louisville to participate in an 8-city cohort to implement a second wave of Bank on Cities. At that time, we took an innovative approach to the project by having two distinct Metro departments work together to lead the effort, economic development and community services. This was based upon the premise that by raising the economic level and bankability of low-income residents, we would not only help to improve their household stability, but we could directly impact the economic stability of the areas where they live, as well as the metro area as a whole. By documenting an increased exchange of money for goods and services in underserved areas, we could better demonstrate to investors that greater investment in new business enterprises would pay off. Today, Louisville Metro Community Services continues to be the lead agency. Next slide. From the beginning, Mayor Fisher has challenged Bank on Louisville to set the bar high. He saw the value and demonstrated his support not only for the work that was being done across the community, but also as an employer partner by moving all Metro employees to direct deposit and incorporating Bank on Louisville as a resource in the employee benefit packet that also included workplace-based financial education. He has also fully supported the role that the Department of Community Services has played in providing leadership and the necessary resources to help sustain the work and encourages all of us to seek out new opportunities and innovative approaches. Next slide. Bank on Louisville celebrated its 5th anniversary in 2015, marking the opening of over 19,000 second chance accounts. From a collective impact perspective, there are more people banking and maintaining account balances. On average, quarterly balances are over $1,300. When you carry that through looking at accounts opened and deposits made, that adds up to a combined community asset of over $15 million, something that could not be previously demonstrated. However, our mission has not only been about connecting folks to mainstream financial services, but also engaging them in financial education as a means of increasing financial capability. To date, the Bank on Louisville Partnership has engaged over 16,500 participants in financial education opportunities and provided over 1,000 workshops across the community. To get to our vision, we first took on the task to increase the capacity of social service providers to integrate financial empowerment strategies into their service delivery models. We did this by offering a community certification and training program. Our premise there is if we equipped providers with a greater understanding of financial empowerment concepts and tools, more families in our community would reap the benefits. It also helped to ensure that the message was consistent, regardless of which agency door someone entered looking for assistance. We then partnered with Our United Way to offer a series of workshops that would increase the financial capacity of social service providers as a workforce and on a personal level, believing that building confidence about their own financial decision-making would transfer to their confidence in working with their clients on increasing their financial capability. And as a third component, we have trained providers as facilitators of Bank on Louisville's signature training products. Start Fresh focuses on the basics of banking. Credit as an Asset helps folks understand the importance of credit and how to build a good credit file. And Start Smart, geared toward youth having a better understanding about sound financial decision-making as they begin to enter into the workforce. These facilitators can now provide workshops in a group setting or use the workbooks as part of case management when people need it the most. Across all these three efforts, nearly 400 social service workers have participated in training representing nearly 100 organizations. Next slide. This work has been a true community-wide effort. The Bank on Louisville Partnership is comprised of nearly 70 participating agencies representing community and faith-based organizations, financial institutions, state, local, and federal governments, schools, and universities. These partners contribute in many different ways, including time, talent, resources, and funding. In addition, regional and national partners like the National Disability Institute provide technical assistance, funding, resources, expertise, and guidance in helping to move our work forward. Next slide. So what does this array of actions look like? From the beginning, our partners wanted financial education to be a key component of the equation. We started with a focus on providing information on basic banking, how to choose the right banking partner and product, how to manage that account, and how to set attainable financial goals. We then moved to education around building good credit and why it matters, and then to providing information from a youth perspective on opening up that first account and why having that account is an important step in setting the groundwork for a strong financial future. All partners engaged in this work are members of the Financial Empowerment Provider Network. We soon focused on working to increase the capacity of nonprofits to integrate financial empowerment into their service delivery model, establishing a common language, and setting a shared goal in increasing household financial stability. Then we added opportunities for increasing knowledge and confidence on personal financial decision-making level, focusing on this population as a workforce. From a financial inclusion perspective, we established partnerships that extended our outreach to those engaged in homeless services, workforce development, at-risk youth, and public housing. Many of these partners are members of the Family Economic Success Network and the Louisville Alliance for Development through Diversity, Empowerment, and Resources, where our partnership with the National Disability Institute and the Department of Labor brought together a new group of community partners committed to enhancing and expanding our capacity building efforts to be inclusive and accessible to a broader range of residents. Through the efforts and commitments of that group, we have more financial empowerment champions, a newly updated financial empowerment resources directory, and a new disability and accessibility resource and referral guide. And most recently, we have participated in nationally led collaboratives focused on establishing a children's savings account program, deepening our integration of financial capability education into youth workforce development, expanding our efforts to help families get on track with past due payments to the water company by providing supportive services and incentives for establishing and maintaining a budget, and in some cases start to save money, and convening key stakeholders to engage in a conversation that has led to our housing authority to take steps to report on-time rent payments to the credit bureaus. Next slide. But it is not only about the work, it is about the people our partners touch every day. Anecdotally, we know that participants have increased their credit scores, improved their employment status, reduced their debt, and have started to save. We know that the service providers who have participated in our training programs have greater confidence to engage in financial empowerment-related work with their clients, both as group trainings and as part of their individual work with clients. Next slide. Last year, members of the Ladder Collaborative worked together to create messages coupled with pictures of real clients on the importance of financial empowerment and the impact it can have on people's lives. I invite you to check out our web-based resources and information by going to bankonlouisville.com or visiting the louisvilleky.gov site and searching on Ladder, Community Financial Empowerment Certification, and the Personal Finance Empowerment Series. I also want to share that Mayor Greg Fisher contributed an essay to What It's Worth, Strengthening the Financial Future of Families, Communities, and the Nation, published by the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco and the Corporation for Enterprise Development, offering an examination of the concept of financial health and well-being. Please check that out if you haven't already done so. That includes my portion of this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tina. I mean, at times it seems that nothing is impossible in Louisville, but I think what's so important and the key to what you described was the collaborations. New bridges built within city agencies that didn't previously exist, and then the new bridges between financial institutions and all kinds of community partners, including many disability nonprofit organizations, and even city and state agencies that really had just focused on people with disabilities but hadn't broadened their goals and objectives to become a part of your financial empowerment work. So it really is an extraordinary example of an inclusive model, and we'll be talking more with you on the next stage of this webinar, where I want to turn to our panelists with some questions, and I will throw in some of the questions which have been coming in the chat box as well. Let me first turn to Christopher Button with ODEP, and let me ask this question. What is ODEP's, Office of Disability Employment Policy, commitment to and interest in supporting financial literacy and financial capability for youth and adults with disabilities who are in the workforce or seeking employment?
Thank you, Michael. First of all, on behalf of ODEP, thank you for organizing this important webinar today, and thank you to all of our participants. I get excited as I'm hearing what folks are talking about and the focus on this important topic and kind of the nexus with disability. For those of you who might not be familiar with ODEP, we are the only assistant secretary-led office government-wide that focuses specifically on disability and employment, and I think very importantly located here at the Department of Labor in the mainstream generic system so that we can be a voice for youth and adults with disabilities and a catalyst for policy change. And I have to say that as we look at policy change around employment, that ODEP is very cognizant of and actively working towards helping people with disabilities move from poverty to prosperity. And, you know, Michael, I know that the National Disability Institute has been involved in a number of research investigations looking at disability and poverty, and so you all certainly understand the long-term role or location of people with disabilities within that poverty ladder. And we are actively looking to try to find ways to bring financial capability, financial literacy into multiple partners that we are working with both at a systems level and as we work across the country with individual projects throughout those projects. And I want to give you just a couple of examples. At the systems level, ODEP, just this morning, we were participating in an advisory committee that was established through the WIOA legislation around increasing competitive integrated employment for individuals with disabilities who have not had the opportunity to participate in integrated competitive employment historically. And part of that discussion has been poverty, getting people out of poverty, what needs to be done around building financial literacy and financial capability. And while we don't have the final recommendations from the experts, there are multiple systems, federal systems that are around the table talking about these important issues. And I know we are going to be very much looking forward to receiving the final recommendations from that important advisory committee. But we are also working with the Social Security Administrations, with our important partners, as Jennifer said, brothers and sisters here at Department of Labor, as well as with other federal programs, raising the question of getting out of poverty and the need for financial literacy and financial capability. We have woven this into a number of projects, things like the Disability Employment Initiative, which identifies, this is a jointly funded grant program that is administered by the Employment and Training Administration and ODEP jointly, and it identifies multiple different service delivery strategies that the grantees who are implemented through the public workforce system, things that they can focus on. And financial literacy, building financial capability is not only one of the strategies that we identified, but it has been one of the strategies that has been most frequently selected by the grantees, and so that they are getting active technical assistance nationally to try to weave that into the programs and services administered through the American Job Centers in the participating sites. Very exciting stuff. We've done a number of research briefs. In fact, Michael, I see that one of those briefs, which you all helped us with, is listed in your resources at the end of the slides, that talks about different models that are being implemented by the system, the workforce development system, across the nation to bring financial literacy training to the public workforce system. Very exciting. And we have partnerships that we have been implementing with other systems, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration. We're just starting out now in a collaboration with them, and again, getting people out of poverty, out of being trapped out of the mainstream and into the mainstream where they can actively participate and participate economically as well has been a major focus. So we're excited about this, this topic and exciting to be highlighting it during Financial Capability Month. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Let me try to get one question into each of our panel members. So let me turn to Mark Humphreys with EBSA. And this is similar to a question or some of the comments in the chat box, is for people with or without disabilities, trying to save for a better financial future is very challenging. Are there resources that EBSA has that could help make saving easier?
Well, saving for retirement is one piece of a worker's financial life. We want all workers to make it a part of their financial life throughout their career and make saving a habit, preferably starting early. You can find in our resource list links to various materials we have for workers who are at different stages of their careers that focus on fitting savings for retirement into their life. For example, for workers starting out and through mid-career, we have worksheets developed with the Certified Financial Planner Board of Standards to help them develop a financial plan and track their progress. These include worksheets to help in developing a budget, managing debt, and determining a target retirement savings rate. We have other publications to help workers understand their workplace retirement plan and related protections. We also have resources for workers near retirement to help them determine if they'll be ready to retire when they plan to or hope to. Our worksheets help workers near retirement track their progress in saving for their goals, including the estimated spend down of their savings to see if it will last over their retirement. And we have also developed a retirement toolkit with the Social Security Administration and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services covering the three major components of retirement. For the various stages of a worker's career, we have resources including publications in print and online, many available in Spanish, interactive worksheets, and videos. We conduct workshops and can work with you on creating a workshop for you if you're interested. We also conduct webcasts, and we have benefits advisors to answer questions and help informally resolve disputes with benefits. Note that we also have resources to help workers with employer-provided health plans if they are facing job loss, as well as for small business owners interested in setting up a plan or information on operating the plan that they do have. For more information on our resources and how we can help you help your visitors, see our website at dol.gov/EBSA or call our toll-free number 1-866-444-3272. Our goal is to make saving for retirement a part of a worker's financial life, wherever they are in their career and life, so that they're prepared for a secure retirement.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Let me turn quickly to Jennifer. And you of course, talked about already the kinds of returns that are coming from bringing a focus on savings and financial literacy to youth in the Summer Jobs Program. Can you talk a little bit more about, I know you're partnered with America Saves, you're working with several other federal agencies. Have you seen anything yet about, one type of strategy that is helping youth really gain financial literacy skills through that summer job experience? For many, it's their first paycheck.
Sure, and good question. We, about a year ago, with the National League of Cities and Save On, as you mentioned, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, entered into a partnership where we offered additional technical assistance to 24 cities or localities. And luckily, we have a variety. It's in some ways easier to deliver financial capability or literacy information in larger places, but we also have some rural locations that have chosen to participate in what we're calling the YES program. This pilot is helping us help local areas think about what needs to go into delivering the new program element around financial literacy. These 24 cities have been working together for about 6 months now, and we're beginning to see some results from these efforts. It especially seems to be very helpful when there is a local financial institution, be it a credit union or a bank, that's participating in the efforts, because that makes it easier for youth to get savings accounts. So we're really excited about the work we're doing with the YES project, and we're looking at it kind of as a pilot that we can roll out next year, sort of the findings and some practices to the system as a whole, to get them started with implementing the new program element, which they're working on. So definitely we'll have more resources related to that up on our Workforce GPS website, which is where we have our community of practice, where we put a lot of information up. So I'll give it back to you, Michael.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer. Let me turn to Luke. We had multiple questions coming in about MoneySmart, which I'm pleased that people are showing a lot of interest in it. Let me see if I can try to break these into different parts. The first one is, would MoneySmart be relevant to people who are on SSDI and are not employed? And I'm going to answer that myself, but then turn to you, Luke, for maybe some additional comment. Even the individual who may not be working right now, and their monthly income is not coming from earned income, but is coming from that Social Security check, I believe MoneySmart is as equally relevant to them as the person who's working, because it's going to help teach you some basic knowledge and basic skills about managing even a smaller pot of money. And so I do think it's very relevant for that population. But Luke, would you want to add anything to that one? Am I still there?
I think he's muted.
Okay.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm muted now. Yes, I would agree with you, Michael, that we feel that the MoneySmart program is useful for people across the income spectrum. Even those with the lowest income can benefit not just from the information on budgeting, but from selecting a way to get their account. I mean, selecting a deposit account to get their check, as well as some of the consumer protections that they would need to encounter. So I definitely concur with you.
Yeah. And a second question.
I'm sorry, I just want to say we're also using the MoneySmart in our YES pilot site. So I just sort of want to give everyone a sense that we're finding that it's good to use the resources that we have across many, many different locations. And wanted to add that to the conversation.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I just also know on our MoneySmart website, we have some success stories around providing MoneySmart to some of the lowest income consumers. So I don't think we specifically single out SSI, but we think some of the success stories up there could be useful inspirations for efforts.
Right. Then there was another question related to MoneySmart, wanting to know, is it accessible for people with intellectual disabilities? And I think that's a very interesting question. I know we've discussed it, Luke, with you and others at FDIC, and I've had conversations with some of the folks at a regional level. And I think there is interest. I know you're constantly looking at new versions of MoneySmart, but maybe you have a comment about that.
Yes, so that's a really good question. So you may remember Michael, like almost 10 years ago, we added a special section on tips for presenting MoneySmart to persons with disabilities based on an idea from NDI, and that's now on in every instructor-led MoneySmart CD. There's a section on guide to presenting MoneySmart for persons with disabilities. We know we have a Braille version. We know our online version is 508 compliant. I think we would be very interested in learning to what degree we may need to make changes or updates or enhancements to it so that it's better useful for individuals with all sorts of disabilities. So I would welcome anyone who has any specific feedback for me on what I could do, what we could do to make sure that it is if it's not, because certainly we're continually trying to improve our Money Smart program and make sure it's inclusive of all educational needs of all people.
Right. Thank you, Luke. Let me turn next to Tina in Louisville, and let me start with this question. As you mentioned, your mayor has made quite a commitment to promote financial literacy. Is this unusual for a mayor's office, or is this a trend that's growing across the country?
Well, Michael, I would say no, it's not unusual. In fact, I would say it's a growing practice. As a member of the Cities for Financial Empowerment Coalition, and that's a coalition of 15 mayors so far, we hear more and more about cities who are engaging in this work. And within the CFE itself, the work is housed in a variety of offices and departments within municipalities: social services, treasurer, consumer affairs, housing and community development, policy and workforce development. So it's growing. It's exciting, and I'm glad that to be a part of it.
Right. And I'm going to go to a second question to you is, if you were working, or this question is really coming from disability community organizations, how can they go about, where do they start to try to engage their mayor's office and really have this kind of expanded outreach that you really have been championing in Louisville? Where would you propose they start, and who might they talk to?
Well, I think, you know, I can only speak about how it happened in Louisville and sort of relate that story. So for us, it's always been about relationship building. From our Bank on efforts to the creation of our Louisville Alliance for the Development of Diversity through Empowerment and Resources, we started with existing relationships and then identified other key stakeholders to engage in that conversation. So as a government, we do have an advantage, at least in the beginning, to getting people's attention, but you have to deliver to keep that attention, that relationship going, and you have to prove value. So we are looking at ways for the most effective and efficient way to meet the needs of the people we serve by coming together, and we can accomplish much more than by working in silos. So, and then together we have so much to learn from each other. So when we brought people together, some who had never been to the table before, as you talked about, we took an inventory of what was in place and identified what was missing and needed, and then began to work to fill those gaps. Regarding the workforce development system and disability community specifically, we were able to tap into a wealth of expertise to help increase awareness across the social services continuum regarding the effects of employment on benefits, managing those benefits, providing services that are inclusive, and the resources that are available, creating stronger ties across those organizations. By training facilitators, we have been able to extend our financial empowerment outreach directly into the agency's array of services and supports and begun to create a common culture of increasing household financial stability, and within that, strengthen the referral system so that more needs are met.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. Another question that came in the chat box may have been from an individual on SSDI. No, actually an individual on SSI, and concerns that with the $2,000 asset limit, which is what determines either beginning or continued eligibility for SSI, it means that a person can't contribute to a 401k, or if they're going to contribute to a 401k and that grows beyond $2,000, they put in jeopardy not only their Social Security benefits, but also their Medicaid benefits. And so they're wondering, well, we've been talking about building financial literacy. We've been talking certainly about setting financial goals and making a very strong commitment regular commitment to savings, what about the person on SSI? And I want to answer that, and then I can ask the panel if you have additional answers. But one of the wonderful new developments is the law passed in 2014, which is called the ABLE Act, Achieving a Better Life Experience Act. In 2016, and probably as early as next month in May, some of the first states are going to begin to announce the availability for eligible individuals to open ABLE accounts. And why that's important is that the ABLE account, which one could put up to $14,000 a year, contribute into that account, the individual with a disability, parents, family members, friends, others, that will not count as an asset and will not jeopardize any federal benefit, including SSI as well as Medicaid. It could be housing or food assistance as well. So really the ABLE Act, we hope, is going to lead to the opening of more than 1 million accounts over the next few years. And that is yet another reason some people are going to really be taking more seriously not only where they are in terms of their status, employment status, but also financial literacy. And everything we've been talking about today becomes that much more critical and important. So for that commenter, that $2,000 limit, there is going to be soon, this year, ways to get around it. And really, an ABLE account is about promoting saving that can lead to a focus on additional education or even employment-related supports, but it also is about really helping people understand better how to manage money and set a budget and set savings goals. So that would be my answer to that individual. I don't know if any member of the panel would like to add a comment in terms of the person who's on SSI may be working, but limiting the amount of income they're making because they're so worried about losing their Social Security and Medicaid benefits. Anyone have an additional comment?
Michael, this is Chris from ODEP. I think that what I'm thinking as you're talking about ABLE is I'm just getting really excited about the nexus of these multiple things that are coming together right at this time. You've got the ABLE Act that's being implemented. We have the new financial literacy language in WIOA. We have the advisory committee that I mentioned earlier that's going to be making all these policy change recommendations around increasing competitive integrated employment. And they're talking about what to do about elevating raises and getting people out of poverty. And it's just, there's a lot of forces that are coming together to make what we're talking about today just really so relevant and so important. And in terms of the SSI question, I would say in addition to ABLE, there are other work incentives that can be looked at to help people be able to get out into the workforce, even build a business using a PASS plan or some of the other work incentives that are available through Social Security that maybe should be looked at.
Thank you, Chris. In the short time we have left, I want to go to a question across the entire panel, and you provided a perfect segue. July 1st, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, state plans begin to go into implementation phase. We move from planning to actual implementation. We've talked today about these new opportunities within WIOA to promote financial literacy. So with July 1 just not being too far away, do any panelists have any recommendations on community partnerships that would help not only promote the employment goals of WIOA, but also promote the financial literacy goals? Anyone want to take a try at that one?
I mean, this is Luke Reynolds. I certainly encourage municipalities to consider the ways that insured financial institutions can be partners, particularly in the delivery of financial education. And the degree you may need help thinking through about how to do that, certainly consider reaching out to the FDIC and our Community Affairs team, who you can find contact information through the link on my slide as resources to explore how banks can be helpful.
Yeah, I think great advice, Luke. Anybody else want to provide a further response?
Well, this is Jennifer representing the Employment and Training Administration's Youth Program, and I would also say that, and sort of echo what Luke said, that we are finding that the financial institutions and the financial agencies are very excited about the opportunities that Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act provides them. If you live in an area where there's a Federal Reserve Bank, we have found that the Federal Reserve Bank is also very interested in the opportunities. Many of them are holding local meetings related to implementing the financial literacy component and how to connect resources. So if you don't have a local financial partner, there are resources to help you make those connections as well. Just echoing Luke.
Well, and this is Chris, and I would just again reinforce the relevance, the increased relevance of the American Job Centers as partners in whatever financial capability initiative might be being organized in a city or a state. That with the new language in WIOA, they are really important partners to be making sure are at the table.
Great, thank you. I see where we are time-wise. I want to take you quickly to the slide. We've been referencing these resources several times throughout the webinar. There is a publication available through the leadcenter.org, Financial Literacy and the Workforce Development System, Resources and Implementation Strategies. As Tina shared with us, visit www.bankonlouisville.com to learn more about some of the strategies that she has shared. Visit the FDIC, www.fdic.gov/MoneySmart, an extraordinary resource. And as Mark shared with us, do learn more about EBSA resources, www.dol.gov/EBSA. In terms of final thoughts, I hope we have more than tweaked your interest and curiosity, and I hope have left you with almost a sense of urgency, or at least a sense of excitement. People with disabilities need not be living in poverty, need not remain underemployed or unemployed. Youth and adults with disabilities are a major focal point of the WIOA. And this integration, this pathway between helping people with financial literacy opportunities tied to their employment objectives is really something that is important for all of us to think through. The public-private partnerships, as Luke mentioned, are extraordinarily growing and being nurtured in communities across the country. Talk with your local financial institution. Many offer financial education programs. Many offer and utilize MoneySmart as the vehicle to come visit with you. There really is an exciting opportunity with the ABLE Act, with the coming in a few months, the advisory committee's recommendations on advancing employment for people with disabilities. I think all these pieces are going to come together. We urge you to continue to participate in our Lead Center webinar series. The next one we want to advertise to you, June 30th, 2016. We're going to be looking at state WIOA implementation from Unified State Planning to implementation, June 30th from 3 to 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I hope you will connect with the Lead Center and particularly look at the extraordinary resources around Employment First, state-by-state reviews of where states are, which you can find on the Lead Center website, find out more or follow us through social media as well. Let me, before we run out of time, let me just thank this extraordinary panel for coming together today. FDIC, ETA, EBSA, ODEP, and of course the City of Louisville. You have given everyone much to think about. Much appreciate your insights, your suggestions and identifications of resources. Really, this is the next stage in advancing economic self-sufficiency for people with disabilities. Please do pay attention. You will be getting on your screens a survey request. We need your feedback. It helps inform future development of webinars by the LEAD Center, so please do pay attention to that. But thank you for joining today, and remember, this is Financial Literacy Month, but I think we all know financial literacy is a goal that needs to be all year long, and hopefully this webinar today will move you in that direction. So thank you, everyone, and we look forward to you being a part of future webinars with the LEAD Center. Take care. Bye-bye.